Hello everybody, and thank you for attending my presentation on EXE in Pillar Chase. EXE is the 5th monster in Pillar Chase and happens to be my most played monster by a few hours. Since I've sunk a, frankly, unhealthy amount of time into this character, and since I'm restarting the grind to gold with him, I decided this would be the perfect time to make an overview / guide. You may have heard this from every other guide, but still worth saying. Please don't take my word as law. I'm not the best at this game and still have a lot to learn. So please don't think you have to follow my tips like your life depends on it, as deviation will help you form your own playstyle, which might be more fun, if not downright better. EXE has some great base stats. 45 damage is very good, being a 3-shot that can actually bone break in only 2. Pairing this with Pillar Chase's famous hitboxes makes a better chase deal down than one would think. However, this won't matter if it weren't for his large 105 stamina pool, which is crucially just a bit higher than Survivor's. I would mention the stamina drain, but for some reason the wiki only has a section for high stamina drain monsters and nothing else. So if you're a moderator or something for the wiki, please expand that. However, the wiki does mention the EXE's midland speed at 20, which is 3 points lower than Survivor's 23 sprint speed. This means that you'll have to have some creative ability usage to kill loopers and skilled players, but it can be done. EXE's passive is easily one of the best in the game. For it's basically no cost at all, you get nearly a map-wide highlight every 11 seconds. If you've ever felt the pain of getting camped out playing as a monster without highlights like Melodicus or Jeff, you know how important they are. The only downsides to those abilities are, 1, it highlights only within 150 studs around you, but that's still a massive range. And 2, EXE will make a audio cue, sounds like sniffing, that can alert people of your presence. But if they're close enough to hear that, you should definitely be close enough to chase them down. The only other downside I could really think, it only activates every 11 seconds, but at that point you're just asking that he has Vapor's passive. EXE's first actual ability is too slow. EXE will lunge forward and grab the first player it makes contact with, dealing 10 damage and following up with a 40 damage bite for 50 damage total. Unlike other characters with similar abilities, Too Slow does not launch you forward in a straight line, instead sets your speed to 27, which is really good. To put that in comparison, EXE normally only has 20 sprint speed, and Survivors only have 23, so if you're close enough, they physically won't be able to outrun you. Impossible to outrun you. However, this isn't all the ability is good for. Too Slow is amazing for countering loopers, and is just an amazing tool to throw off mid-chase. While you run, you lose no stamina, and that pairs extraordinarily well with the giant speed boost you get while using it. You'll actually get stamina from the bind animation if you connect the ability, and while your victim doesn't. This forces survivors to be really cautious while playing around you, as if they don't zone properly, then EXE might just shoot forward at a speed they can't outrun. Now helping this is the fact that, due to hitboxes, you can pull off some truly absurd grabs you probably shouldn't have been able to get away with. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, however. Too Slow does have some very tangible downsides. To start, you are actually disadvantaged by using it on a player stuck in a trap. After binding someone who's in the trap, they'll not only free them, but take the trap along with it. Too Slow will only do 5 more damage compared to your M1, probably less factoring the damage they will have taken from the trap. So you're basically wasting a crucial ability for chasing people down on someone who literally can't move. I used to make this mistake often, and it was a hard habit to break, so do yourself a favor and don't make it a habit to begin with. But what you especially shouldn't do is try to use Too Slow as a finisher to get kills, because due to was hopefully a bug, Too Slow will not increment the time and make it go up if you kill with it, unlike every other monster's abilities. And what really irks me about it is that it has far less XP than it should give you if you get a kill with it. Remember how I said earlier it does 50 damage by doing 10 and then 40? Well, XP is applied the same way. You get 50 damage for the grab, and around 100 if, and only if you get a kill with a bite. This is really, really annoying, because 2 hits from your M1 will leave survivors at 10 HP, which is just enough to have them drop dead from the grab and deny your extra XP. I swear, if this bug was fixed, or if I knew about it earlier, I already would have been at gold. Personally, I think the grab itself should do nothing, and the bite should just do 50 damage to avoid the hassle and just fix out the bug entirely. EXE's second and most important ability are its traps. The ability itself is nothing special. Short animation, 3-second cooldown. The only interesting thing about the ability is that The trap is only placed at the very end of the animation, so survivors can run between your legs while you're placing it. However, not many people know this, and even few are brave enough to pull it off in the heat of the moment. The traps themselves are far more interesting, with many unique techniques and cool skill expression type things you can do with them. To start, the traps are rather small and black, which is great for placing them in sneaky spots. If someone does find them, it takes a long time to get rid of. If someone steps in them, they'll be highlighted and you'll get a speed boost, not dissimilar to Foreskin. When someone is in the trap, they take a few damage per second. The exact amount isn't listed on the wiki, but you can get out by pressing E on it like you would a map task, a total of 15 times. How fast you actually get out is dependent on person to person, with how fast you can mash. Personally, I've gotten out with only taking 20 damage, but on average, a lot of people, or I would say most people, get out while taking 30 damage or more. However, other survivors can also interact with the trap to help free the trapped one, but most time your presence will disincentivize the survivors from getting too close, and if it doesn't, just hit them once or twice to scare them off. Traps have a lot of sauce, ranging from simple to complex. You can obviously do what every trap-focused killer does in every killer vs. survivor game, and just camp. Placing traps on top of objectives will, at worst, waste both you and the survivor's times, but at best, it'll give you some free damage or kills. This works better at the start of the game when more people are flocking to the objectives, rather than at the end where most people have the objectives done. The cooler thing you can do with traps is to zone and cut off one-ways. You can turn maps like Oni's Mansion and Baldi's Schoolhouse into slaughterhouses, with the mini rooms with only one entrance, and even more rooms that aren't cursed to have one lone door. You can still place traps to make them one-ways, but traps don't exist just to be placed on doors and tasks. You can also use them to cut off key looping positions, which will definitely be needed if you're going against good players who will try to loop you until the heat death universe. Another really cool tech with traps I couldn't find a good transition for is on some maps you can place near invisible traps. If you're on a slope, the stairs in Oni's Mansion, the ramp in my world, etc., you should face the ascending part of the ramp and then place the trap. The trap will clip into the geometry, which will hide most, if not all of it, while still being able to be triggered by survivors. This is especially good in Oni's Mansion, where the only way between floors are the stairs, which I've personally gotten traps to be completely visible on the stairs, if placed well. Off script here, my favorite tech you can do with EXE, I just completely forgot to write about. If someone is stuck in the trap, you can place a trap at their feet. And if they have slow hands, they physically won't be able to escape fast enough before you place the trap. They'll fall directly into the trap, and if they're low enough, they will just die because they can't escape fast enough. This not only skips the kill animation, which wastes a lot of time, when they get in the trap, you'll get a speed boost. You can use this to chase down other survivors who are near, or if you're already chasing someone down when you placed it, they probably won't expect you to just get a burst of speed from another dude who got trapped halfway across the map. So this is probably my favorite tech. I can't believe I forgot to mention it, but yeah, animation skipping is like the coolest thing in this game. All this sounds like EXE is really just a free win button, but the unfortunate truth is that EXE is quite possibly one of, if not the, most map-reliant monster in the game. You'll have to have patience playing him and patience waiting for a good map for like 30 minutes. Most of the time you can tell good maps from bad maps pretty easily. For example, Baldi's Schoolhouse is one of the best maps for learning, and more importantly, winning as EXE. There are many rooms that are begging to be trapped, and long loops that can teach new players how to properly cut loops off with his traps. Meanwhile, some maps I think are perfectly good are not. As another example, Gilgamesh sounds like a map made with EXE and dev favoritism in mind. A map that's entirely straight hallways and nothing else. However, when you look closer, you'll realize how bad the map is. First of all, the rooms have multiple entrances, making them hard to trap because of the titular hallways being so wide. You'll need to take a significant amount of time to actually trap them, so you should look closer at maps and just surface level view to determine what maps are good or bad for EXE. A good map for EXE should usually have tight hallways and long timers to allow EXE to have time to set up. Most good EXE maps are small, but I think that's just an effect of smaller maps and handling benefiting monsters. Well, I'd say the best EXE maps are Oni Mansion, Hide and Seek, and Fazbear's Frights, with Baldi's Schoolhouse being up there too. The bad traits in a map are predictably the exact opposite of what makes a good one for EXE. He'll struggle heavily on open maps like Mainland and My World. On those, I'd say your best bet is camping springs or objectives. The same thinking also makes smaller but still open maps hard but not as unplayable as those do. Unless you're really confident in your ability to play him, I'd stay away from the Forest or Pillar Drain system. EXE is definitely not the best and definitely not consistent, but he is really cheesy and really fun. If you want to win games and don't care if people hate you for it, this is the character for you.